Have you ever looked around your home and felt heavy? Not just from a clutter you see, old furniture, forgotten papers, sentimental keepsakes, but from the quiet weight they place on your daily life? Maybe you don't even realize it yet, but over the years, those unused items have slowly filled your space and made it harder to move, harder to clean, harder to breathe. And still, letting go feels impossible because it's not just stuff, right? It's memories. But here's the truth. Before you turn 70, there are certain things in your home that you must release, not to lose something, but to gain back peace, freedom, and ease. In this video, I'll walk you through 6 specific household items that are silently weighing you down, and I'll show you how letting them go can change everything. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by the things around you, this is for you. Watch until the end, because the last item might be the most important one of all. If this message speaks to you, please hit the like button to support this kind of content. Subscribe for more guidance on how to care for your health and home every single day. And turn on the bell so you never miss an update. And if you're dealing with this exact feeling right now, comment the number 0 below. I read every comment, and you're not alone. Number 1, sentimental items that no longer serve you. Letting go of sentimental items is one of the most emotionally challenging parts of decluttering. Because these objects aren't just things. They represent people, moments, and chapters of our lives. Old letters, gifts from loved ones, vacation souvenirs, and childhood keepsakes often carry deep emotional weight, which is why so many of us hold on to them, sometimes for decades. But as you approach 70, it's worth gently asking yourself, are these items still bringing you joy, or are they simply taking up space and holding you in the past? Many people feel a sense of guilt at the thought of parting with these possessions. A necklace from a relative who's no longer here, birthday cards from years ago, drawings your children made when they were small. These items can evoke warm memories, yes, but when they start to accumulate and take over, they can become more of a burden than a comfort. The truth is, memories don't reside in things, they live in your heart. Keeping too many sentimental objects doesn't honor your history. It can make your present harder to enjoy. Helen, now 78, discovered this when she downsized into a smaller home and realized she had an entire storage unit full of mementos she hadn't touched in years. At first, the thought of letting anything go felt like losing part of herself. What if she forgot? What if the memories faded without the physical reminders? But then she made a shift, not to forget, but to choose more intentionally. She kept the most meaningful treasures, her wedding album, a few letters that still made her heart swell, and a small box of souvenirs that brought a smile. The rest, she let go, donating what could be used by others, and photographing what she wanted to remember. And in doing so, she found something unexpected, a feeling of freedom. Because decluttering sentimental items doesn't mean discarding your past. It means making room to fully live in the present. It means keeping what still warms your heart and releasing what quietly weighs it down. So if you're surrounded by objects that no longer lift you up, pause and ask yourself, do I need every trinket to hold on to love and meaning they once carried? Or can I trust that the people and moments that shape me live within me, not within the clutter? At this stage of life, the most precious things are no longer the ones buried in boxes. They're the ones that bring you lightness, comfort, and peace every single day. Number 2, clothes you never wear. At some point, most of us find ourselves holding on to clothes that no longer serve us. A suit that hasn't fit in years, a dress from a special moment long gone, or drawers filled with old t-shirts that haven't seen the light of day in ages. These pieces often linger not because we need them, but because they remind us of who we used to be. But as you approach 70, it's time to take a thoughtful look at your wardrobe and ask a simple but important question. Do I truly need all of this? A closet full of unworn clothing doesn't just take up space. It quietly clutters your life and adds emotional weight you might not even notice. Clothes carry memories. The jacket from a milestone celebration, the jeans you once adored, or those beautiful shoes that now hurt too much to wear. And while these items may seem harmless, they often reflect a version of ourselves we've already outgrown. That was Linda's story. At 72, she had a closet bursting at the seams, yet only wore a small handful of pieces. Every morning brought frustration instead of ease, as she faced racks of outdated outfits and uncomfortable shoes. One day, she decided it was time to reclaim her space. She emptied her closet and sorted everything into 3 honest categories: what she loved and wore, what no longer fit or felt right, and what she was holding on to just in case. That last group, filled with hesitation and nostalgia, proved the hardest to part with, but also the most freeing. As she let go of what no longer belonged in her present life, she gained something far more valuable: clarity, breathing room, and a wardrobe that finally worked for her instead of against her. That's the hidden gift of letting go. It simplifies your mornings, reduces decision fatigue, and transforms your closet into a space of ease rather than overwhelm. And best of all, the clothes you no longer need could bring warmth or dignity to someone else. So if your wardrobe is overflowing with garments you haven't touched in years, pause and ask yourself, does this reflect who I am today? If it doesn't fit, doesn't feel good, or hasn't been worn in ages, it's time to release it. At this stage in life, you deserve a wardrobe that supports your present, not one that holds you hostage to the past. Number 3, worn out and unused furniture. One of the most common and unnoticed sources of clutter in our homes is old furniture that no longer serves a purpose. Over the years, it's incredibly easy to accumulate extra chairs, tables, and cabinets. Pieces that once had a place in your daily life but now sit unused, quietly occupying space that could be better used for comfort and clarity. What many people don't realize is that holding on to furniture that is no longer functional or comfortable does more than just crowd a room. It creates subtle, ongoing stress. Think about that large recliner tucked into the corner that no one ever uses, or the big dining table that hasn't seen a family meal in years, or that dresser with drawers that always stick and make every morning feel a bit more frustrating. These items no longer support your lifestyle. They obstruct it. And as we age, navigating around excess furniture becomes not just inconvenient, but potentially hazardous. Frank, a 74-year-old man who had lived in the same home for decades, found himself in this very situation. Over the years, he accumulated furniture, some bought, some passed down, others gifted, until his home, which once felt warm and personal, began to feel more like a maze of unused pieces. Moving around became harder, cleaning took longer, and what used to be living spaces turned into storage zones. It wasn't until his daughter gently pointed out that he had 5 chairs in the living room, but only used 2 that he had a moment of realization. He took a courageous step and began decluttering one room at a time. The broken chair with the unstable leg, gone. The oversized coffee table that blocked his path, donated. And with each piece he removed, he felt something lift. The house felt brighter, calmer, and easier to live in. That's the thing about furniture. When it's useful, it brings ease and comfort. But when it becomes excess, it weighs down not just your home, but your peace of mind. You don't need to keep everything to feel at home. In fact, the fewer pieces you have, the more meaningful and intentional your space becomes. So, if you're holding on to furniture out of habit, ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you actually used this? If you have to search your memory, it's probably time to let it go, because a home that is easy to navigate, simple to clean, and truly enjoyable is far more valuable than any dusty chair or table just taking up space. Number 4, expired medications and old toiletries. One of the most easily ignored yet potentially risky forms of clutter is likely hiding in plain sight, inside your bathroom cabinet or the back of a drawer. Expired medications and unused toiletries have a way of quietly accumulating over the years, often without us even noticing. A bottle of painkillers from a long-forgotten illness, prescription drugs you never quite finished, skincare products you tried once and never touched again. All of it slowly builds up, taking space and, more dangerously, posing risks. Medications come with expiration dates for a reason. Their potency fades, and in some cases, they can become harmful if taken past their prime. Still, many people hold on to them just in case, not realizing that by the time they're needed again, they might no longer be safe or even relevant to your current health needs. Toiletries, too, have a hidden shelf life. That bottle of lotion you haven't opened in years, that ancient tube of sunscreen, the perfume you haven't worn since another chapter of your life. They don't just lose their effectiveness. They can cause skin reactions or infections if used too late. Yet we often keep them around, convincing ourselves that maybe one day we'll reach for them again. But let's be honest. If it's been collecting dust for months or even years, that day probably isn't coming. Robert, a meticulous 75-year-old, thought he had everything under control until one day, searching for a bandage, he opened his medicine cabinet and saw shelf after shelf of forgotten items. Expired pills, half-used creams, old prescriptions from conditions he no longer had. Taking time to clear it all out, he was shocked by how much he'd held on to without purpose. But afterward, he felt something profound, a sense of peace, of safety, of lightness. Because decluttering your medicine cabinet isn't just about aesthetics. It's about protecting your health. Simplify your routine and create a space where everything you see is something you genuinely use and trust. So if it's been a while since you last checked your bathroom shelves, now is the time. Go through each bottle and tube. If it's expired, throw it away safely. If it's a prescription you no longer need, dispose of it properly. And if you haven't touched that beauty product in over a year, chances are you never will. Let it go and enjoy the peace of knowing that everything left truly belongs in your life today. Number 5, kitchen items you never use. The kitchen, often considered the heart of the home, can quietly become one of the most cluttered spaces, overflowing with tools, dishes, and gadgets that no longer serve a real purpose. Over time, it's easy to collect mismatched containers, rarely used utensils, and cookware that now gathers dust instead of memories. Before you reach 70, it's worth asking yourself whether your kitchen is supporting your daily life or subtly complicating it. Many of us hold on to items out of habit, a set of elegant dishes reserved for a special occasion that never arrives, or appliances bought with good intentions but used only once, if at all. It's not uncommon to find duplicates of tools we rarely use, an avalanche of plastic lids with no matching containers, or drawers so full you can't even see what's inside. But here's the truth. A kitchen stuffed with things you never use doesn't make cooking more joyful. It makes it more frustrating. George, now 76, knows this all too well. After decades in the same home, his kitchen had become a maze of neglected gadgets and forgotten tools. Blenders, food processors, dusty pans, and glasses stacked to brim made even the simplest tasks feel like a chore. One afternoon, while trying to grab a pan, he knocked over a pile of unused baking sheets and realized something had to change. Determined to reclaim his space, he tackled one drawer at a time, asking, "Do I actually use this?" If the answer was no, it was gone. Duplicates were donated, expired pantry items tossed, and even the bread maker, used only once, found a new home. When he was done, his kitchen felt transformed, cleaner, more functional, and finally aligned with how he actually lived. That's the magic of letting go. When your kitchen is filled only with the essentials, the things you truly use, everything becomes simpler. Cooking is easier, cleaning is quicker, and instead of dreading the chaos, you enjoy the space. So take a moment to scan your shelves and open those drawers. Ask yourself, when was the last time I used this? If it's been years or if it's just sitting there just in case, it may be time to part ways. Because a well-loved kitchen doesn't need to be full. It just needs to be functional. Number 6, old papers, documents, and unused mail. Among the most persistent yet often overlooked sources of clutter in our homes is paper. Quiet, constant, and deceptively harmless. Over the years, it sneaks in and piles up in drawers, on countertops, in dusty file boxes, and folders labeled just in case. From long-forgotten bills and faded receipts to appliance manuals for things you no longer even own, the sheer volume of unnecessary paperwork can be overwhelming. And while it may seem harmless, this kind of clutter doesn't just crowd your home, it weighs on your mind. Searching for one important document and having to sift through years of irrelevant papers is frustrating at best and deeply stressful at worst. Unopened mail stacking on your kitchen counter can leave you feeling behind before your day even begins. The truth is, most of what we keep simply isn't needed anymore, and releasing it can offer a surprising sense of relief and clarity. That's exactly what Barbara experienced. At 73, she had accumulated decades worth of paperwork, outdated utility bills, ancient tax returns, and receipts for things she didn't even remember owning. One day, after struggling to find an insurance form she actually needed, she realized how much irrelevant material she was holding on to. Determined to take back control, she tackled the mess head-on, keeping only what was essential and letting go of the rest. By the time. Number 7. Broken electronics and outdated cables. One of the most forgotten yet frustrating forms of clutter is hiding in drawers, closets, and storage bins. Old electronics and tangled cords that no longer serve any purpose. Over the years, it's easy to collect chargers of devices you no longer own, broken headphones you swore you'd fix, remote controls to long-gone TVs, and mystery cables that seem to belong to nothing at all. These items accumulate quietly, often pushed aside with promise to deal with them later. But later rarely comes. And without realizing it, you're giving up valuable space to things that haven't been useful in years. The truth is, technology moves on, and so should we. That phone from a decade ago, the digital camera that no longer turns on, or the drawer full of random wires. They're not part of your present life, and they won't improve your future. Take George, for example. At 75, he opened his utility drawer one afternoon and found a mess of outdated tech. 3 old cell phones, half a dozen cords, 2 dead batteries, and a GPS unit from the early 2000s. None of it had been used in years, but it was still there, just in case. That day, he made a change. He sorted through everything, recycling what no longer worked, donating what still could, and clearing the space entirely. What surprised him most wasn't the space he reclaimed. It was the sense of clarity that came with it. That's what many people don't realize. Letting go of broken and outdated electronics isn't just about tidying up. It's about simplifying your environment, removing distractions, and freeing yourself from the invisible stress that builds up when too many unused things pile up around you. So, take a moment. Open that drawer. Look at what's really there. If it doesn't work, doesn't connect to anything you still use, or you can't even remember what it's for, it's time to let it go. Because a calm, organized space isn't built for what you used to need. It's built from what truly supports your life now. Number 8. Books and magazines you'll never read again. Books hold stories, memories, and moments, and for many of us, they feel too sacred to part with. Whether it's a favorite novel from decades ago, a stack of magazines once read with morning coffee, or self-help books you meant to get around to, it's easy to find your shelves, and even your floor, overflowing with good intentions. But as the years pass, it becomes clear that not every book we've kept still belongs in our lives. And before you turn 70, it's worth asking, am I holding on to these books for joy or just out of habit? The truth is, a home filled with unread or outdated reading material doesn't inspire calm. It often creates visual and emotional clutter. Take Margaret, for example. At 74, she had shelves lined with novels she hadn't opened in decades and stacks of old magazines she promised herself she'd reread someday. But someday never came. One rainy afternoon, she decided to sort through it all. For every book she kept, she had to ask, does this still inspire me? Is it something I truly want to read again? Or am I keeping it just because I always have? She ended up donating dozens of novels to her local library, recycling magazines no longer relevant, and keeping only the books that genuinely brought her joy. And the difference was remarkable. Her shelves felt lighter, more meaningful, and her reading space once again felt like a place of comfort, not a to-do list staring back at her. That's the quiet magic of letting go. It's not about discarding stories or erasing memories. It's about making space for what truly matters now. So take a moment to scan your bookshelves and magazine stacks. Ask yourself honestly, will I ever read this again? If not, let go with gratitude. Because at this stage of life, you deserve a home that reflects not just your past, but your present joys and future peace. Final thoughts. As we come to the end of this video, take a moment to pause and reflect on the 6 household items we've explored together. Decluttering before you reach 70 isn't simply about clearing space. It's about creating a home that feels lighter, more manageable, and more in sync with the life you truly want to live. Every item you let go of is not a loss. It's a step closer to simplicity, clarity, and a deeper sense of peace. What resonated with you the most? Which of these items do you recognize in your own home? Maybe you've already begun letting go of furniture that no longer supports your life. Perhaps you realize how much smoother life could be without the weight of old papers, forgotten kitchen gadgets, or sentimental objects that no longer spark joy. Or maybe this video has offered you a fresh perspective, that decluttering isn't just about getting rid of things. It's about embracing freedom. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to bring it into your own life. Your experiences are important to us, and hearing from you motivates and inspires us to continue creating valuable content. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us keep creating content that informs, empowers, and inspires. Thank you for watching. We can't wait to see you in the next video.